I want to go back to what we were saying before, though. It's still on my mind with the whole Alpha Network, new updates and changes and stuff. Someone made a comment earlier. The comment was something along the lines of, this game is becoming progressively less and less friendly for newbies. And that's something that I was thinking about recently, which is a really, really interesting point. And it's very true, right? Like, everyone knows now about the Crimson Isle. It's been out for like 3 months, and I've made a couple of videos and I've done some stuff on there. People have played it. You know, you got trophy fishes, you got lava fishes, you got whatever, right? Crimson Isle is cool and that. I think I said this before, but I really like what they did, right? They have like a relatively clear quest line from start to finish, right? You get onto the island, you meet Elle, you say hello, whatever. She's being attacked by blazes. You kill the blazes, you know, whatever. It's like a little interaction at the start, yeah. At the start there, yada, yada, yada. And after a little bit, you have to get those ingredients for Elle. And then she walks you around. She tells you about the factions, the skeleton dudes. What are they? Are they the mages or something? The mages, they live on that side of the map in the Mystic Marsh with the mycelium and whatever. And there's a bit of lore to it. And the barbarians are different. They're like pigs that just ended up high on sulfur, and now they're like pig people or something. So there's like a whole backstory to it, right? And you also get introduced to all the mini-bosses on the island in the form of another quest. I am a mage, so I did the mage quest line. And in the mage quest line, you have to kill an ash fang for alumino fiber. You have to kill, I think, a blade soul for the skull, the head, and you kill something else. I don't remember. You have to kill 3 different mini bosses, and then on the barbarians, you have to do the matriarch. You have to do a mage outlaw, I think. The quest line actually kind of makes sense, right? And it kind of gives you a tour of the island in the form of like a compulsory quest, because if you don't do the quest line, you can't do Kudras. And Kudras are like the hotspot, you know, like the big thing. Everyone wants to do Kudras. It's kind of like the end game content equivalent for the Crimson Isle. Now, the problem with that isn't so much that it's also missing a lot of information. Like, if you're a mage, you don't really get taught about the mage outlaw. You don't get taught about the matriarch. You don't learn that from the mage quest line, but you learn it from the barbarian quest line. So there's a couple of inconsistencies there, which is a bit of an issue, and they should definitely try and clear that up depending on what faction you play. But the big problem, the bigger picture here, which links back to the Skyblock is becoming less noob-friendly, is that the hub island has 0 tutorial. Like, none at all. You spawn on your private island, and once you visit the hub by going to the portal, you spawn in, and then there's an objective on your scoreboard. It's not clear, by the way. It's not obvious. It's just there. It exists. And it's to talk to 12 villagers. Now, this isn't too bad in theory, because you go to the villages, and the villages are meant to explain the game. One of the villages tells you about collections. One of the villages will talk to you about the auction house, I think. But they're so hard to find. Like, I don't know about you, but when I started Skyblock for the very first time, this is pretty funny. This is technically my 2nd time playing Skyblock, because the very first profile, the very first time I played the game, I tried to talk to the villagers, and I spent like an hour. And you might be thinking, oh, then why don't you look up like a video for it? You know, why don't you like look it up or something? A, who the hell's made a guide on finding the villages around the hub? B, why would you bother looking for the villages around the hub when finding a YouTube video that explains Skyblock at a basic level is going to be more useful? Finding a player-made guide is better than the inbuilt tutorial. That's pretty poor, like from a development standpoint. And then once you do talk to the villagers and you somewhat learn about the skills, you somewhat learn about collections. I don't even think there is anything on minions. Like, you spawn with a cobblestone minion, but you don't know about minion upgrades. You don't know about other minions and minion slots or anything. You just sort of like have to figure that out on your own from like intuition or like, you know, looking through your collections or finding a video or something. None of that is really explained. After you do find those villages, you have to talk to a lumberjack, and then you break a couple of wood, you give it to him, he's like, oh, cool. And then he gives you like a sweet axe. Now go to the birch park. You go to the birch park, you find a dude called Charlie. He's like, hello, you could break birch here. Reach foraging 5. You reach foraging 5, the questline ends. That's it. The questline's done. You finish Skyblock at foraging 5, guys. That's the true end game. Foraging 5. And it makes no sense because the Crystal Hollows or the Dwarven Mines, I'm literally on the Crystal Hollows right now. The amount of content on here is immense, right? There's this whole Heart of the Mountain tree with all these upgrades and stuff on the Crystal Hollows. You just have to hit a certain requirement. You have to be mining 12. You have to have 10 enchanted of every material. You have to do the Dwarven, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff you have to do in the Dwarven Mines to reach the Crystal Hollows, right? You have dungeons. Dungeons requires you to have a combat requirement, all these things and whatever and blah, blah, blah. The Crimson Isle needs you to be combat 25. Once you reach the Crimson Isle, you get the actually decent quest line, which explains the game to you. But like, there is no connection from the hub island right here to this island here or to this island here. Like, there is no connection from hub to any other island. And it makes no sense, bro. And that's the reason why like guide content on Skyblock does really, really well. Because people who, like, new players come to Skyblock every single day, and Hypixel is just a growing server and gets a lot of people all the time. And these new people don't know what to do. They don't have any real goals or aspirations or whatever. Like, you kind of do set your own goals in the sense of, oh, I want to get like a max mining setup and make tons of money, or I want to hit max skill average or whatever and stuff like that. But skill average is a player-made concept. Skill average is not really official in Skyblock. Or did they make it official? No, they did make it official later. It's funny because this little stat here, 46.4 skill average, that was not there when I first started playing Skyblock. That's a much, much, much later addition to the game. And that's something that people developed just from realizing, oh, you know, if you level up your skills this amount, you add them up and then find the average. This is your average skill level, you know. Like, that's a player-made goal. There's a lot of things on here that are just people figured out, like, with years of experience, but none of it is clear to the new players, the people who, like, just pick up the game. And then it also cultivates a really weird audience of people who only play Skyblock, only know Skyblock, and sort of don't do anything else. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's very strange. My first time on this game, bro, like, I kid you not, I tried to do the objectives because, like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do, right? The objectives are there for a reason. You do the objectives so you learn about the game a little bit. I can see what this is about. I did the talk to villagers after, like, half an hour, however long it took me. I built a house on my island because every Skyblock game that I've played, you kind of just, like, you max your island, right? The main goal with old Skyblock, the traditional Skyblock game mode, is to build a plot that is the #1 plot on the server. So that just means like an island score. An island score is usually achieved through high level blocks. I know Emerald and Diamond blocks, they are worth the most score in most Skyblock servers. And what I did on like other Skyblock servers is I would, you know, farm diamonds and emeralds because they were worth so much. I would convert them into diamond and emerald blocks. I'd put them on my island, but I'd also work on making a pretty island. And these other Skyblock servers had a very different attitude to Skyblock, right? So when I first played, like, I did the villager thing, and I talked to the carpenter as well. I completely forgot about that. I did the Birch Park quest, where you talk to Charlie and hit Foraging 5. And after I built my house, I just didn't play again. Because, like, I hit full lapis armor, or I had, the wheat armor, whatever it's called. And then just called it a day. Because, like, what was I going to do? I just went back to playing Mineplex. Was it Mineplex? Was it Fortnite? I don't know what I was doing at the time. But, yeah, Skyblock was very short-lived for me. The only reason I got into the game properly was because on my second try playing, I had friends who already played Skyblock. And who knows how they learnt their stuff. They must have watched videos or done something else. I had friends who played Skyblock. And I joined their co-op. They already had 25 mil in the bank, and they were all doing pretty good. Now, I told myself, I'm not going to use their money. I'm not going to whatever, you know, I want to do it myself. I want to learn myself and figure this out myself because I don't want to get, like, hard carried through stuff. And I mined my way to a super compactor to make my first couple 100,000 coins and get some money and stuff. And I sort of figured things around about the game off my friends. The issue with that is I wasn't figuring out things that I had to do for me. It was what my friends wanted to do, and I just thought, oh, if they're doing it, I'll do it as well. But, like, there's no set goal, and yeah, if it weren't for the fact that I had those people who invited me to that co-op and I got to play with people who already had an understanding of the game, I'd not be here. I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be playing, because this is extremely not noob friendly. And, like, bro, I literally made a video the other day called What to Buy in Hypixel Skyblock, Because there are people in this game who pick it up every single day, who are brand new or have been playing for like a week. They have no idea what to do with their coins. And me telling them, oh, you've got armor, you've got pets, you've got skills, you've got minions. To them, they're going, oh my god, really? I had no clue. That's so cool. Game-changing advice. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for telling me. And it's like, to me, someone who's been playing for about 2 years now, I know these things because, like, I've been playing for so long, and it's just something that I picked up over time. But that's not taught to you as a newbie. And then, like, not only that, but then there's the disconnect between the Crimson Isle, the Dwarven Mines, and the dungeons, and it just doesn't add up. None of it makes sense. Like, you don't know. The dungeons, you know, we'll go with dungeons real quick. Dungeons, why are they there? Why are they here? How does it relate to Skyblock in any way? Like, why is dungeons in a Skyblock game, for starters? And why is the Crimson Isle there as well? Like, there's fishing, but then there's also, like, you know, finding secrets and killing bosses. Like, there's not really... Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, they don't make much sense. They're two separate things, yet they're all part of the same game. There's nothing wrong with it, but it'd be nice to get, like, a little bit of backstory, you know? Some lore, something that sort of explains things properly, that transitions the hub island gameplay into your dungeon gameplay, or something along those lines, or, you know, something in the quest line that translates your hub gameplay into the park, and then eventually the park will get an update, similar to the Crimson Isle, hopefully, and give you more content there. Or, like, maybe they should give more lore on combat as well. Like, combat doesn't make any sense, bro. People don't know how to level their combat up quickly, yet combat is a big part of the game. To reach the Crimson Isle, you have to be combat 25. To reach other requirements, you have to be certain combat levels. It's like, how do you get combat level, though? Like, the game doesn't teach you. The average man who plays the game has no clue. They have to look it up. They have to find it off of somebody else's tutorial, somebody else's guide. So yeah, I don't know. Skyblock being less and less newbie-friendly makes a lot of sense, and I do fear that with what are they titling it? The 2.0, the 1.0 Skyblock update, the one that comes out of beta, because this game is still in beta after like 3 years. We all know this is not really in beta. The 1.0 update, I feel like, could easily break Skyblock, or it could be the revolutionary update that changes it all. Knowing Hypixel, like, I don't trust them. I think it will break Skyblock. I don't think it's going to kill their player base or anything or do any serious damage, because people are too addicted and too invested in this game to just, like, drop it over a dodgy update, even if it's really bad. Because they're going to have to change a lot of major mechanics. Like we talked about before, they're changing the dungeonizability of non-dungeon items. They're removing that. Term, Hyperion, gone. Superior, gone. Frozen Blaze, gone. Like, that's not a thing anymore. So, yeah, like, these major mechanics are getting changes, and that's fine. You know, that's okay. Change the mechanics all you want, but make sure the substitute is really, really damn good, bro. These old metas and stuff need to be revamped in a way that makes sense. There needs to be a clear progression system for the average player who doesn't look it up on YouTube or doesn't want to use a wiki and whatnot. There has to be some level of guide already inbuilt into the game, because otherwise it's just, the disconnect's just, it's still there, bro. It's still there. It's quite unhealthy for the growth and development of the game. But yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they just made Mage like the only viable class, called it a day, and just left it like that, and that would be really disappointing, but we can always hope that that doesn't happen.